everyone, and welcome to episode number 69 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, June the 19th, 2021. How are we already more than halfway through June? Time's a-flying by. It's a nice day out today. We had some rain earlier this afternoon, but it's just little bits of wispy white clouds now and lots of blue sky. It's pretty warm. It's in the 80s, low 80s. It's too warm for my blood. So, what else is new? Not a lot. I'll talk about other new things when we get to the end of the podcast today. So I have a couple projects to show you. I have progress on one of my whips, and I have a new cast on, and I have another project that I'm ready to start probably tomorrow. Yeah, probably tomorrow. I might try to restrain myself until Monday or Tuesday, but I'll probably be tomorrow. My number of whips are increasing. I have 2 whips that I haven't even touched in a few weeks. What can we do? So let's take a look at my current whip. Hopefully next week I'll have a finished object to show you. Less likely if I cast on another project tomorrow or the next day. But here is the progress I have made on my Madeline socks. So this is a pattern by Kate Poe. It is the Sock Madness 15 round 6 socks. I had started them last week. I had done the cuff and just a little bit on the leg. And that's all I've done this week. I have not been very productive this week. I actually was considering maybe not doing an episode today because I really didn't think I had much to talk about, but then I created more stuff to talk about, so we're good. But here's my progress. These are really pretty. Some of them, they look a little wonky here and there, but that'll smooth out. That's a really pretty pattern. It's stranded color work, and I'm using the ladderback jacquard method for carrying my floats, and that's working out well. I've never done this technique before, and I've settled into a rhythm with it now, and it's working out nicely. I quite enjoy it actually, and I'm nowhere close to finished these poor socks. Round 6 has come and gone. Round 7 has already started and will be done. Like 100% sure it'll be done before I'm finished this round. I finished 63 rounds out of the 80 on the first leg. In hindsight, I probably should have skipped the first part and done a shorter leg, modified it a bit, but hindsight's 20/20, and it's too late now. I'm not going back to fix that. So I've got 63 out of 80 rounds done on the first leg. This will have an afterthought heel in it, and the afterthought heel will continue in the pattern, in this little leaf and vine colorwork pattern, and the toe will also continue in this pattern. I've seen a few variations where people have just done a solid heel flap or heel and toe. I think I'm going to stick with the pattern and do it in pattern. I'll decide that once I get to that point. The more I mull this over, the more I'm thinking I will do them fraternal and I will reverse the colors for the second sock. I know I had said last week that I would probably, I hadn't decided and that I was thinking I might do them both the same. I've seen a couple people that have reversed it and I think that looks really neat. And I think I'm leaning more towards that now, but we'll have to wait and see once this is done. I have a sneaking suspicion this pair is going to take me a little while to get done. I am finding it's slow going. Every single row, the patterning and the color work is different. So I'm finding that I really have to pay attention to the row, and the chart is huge. All 72 stitches are on one wide chart, so I have to look at 10, knit those, then 10, knit those, no, six stitches between each of the ladder backs. And so I look at 6, knit those, look at the next 6, knit those. So I'm finding it's really slow going, but I'm enjoying it. So I'm fine with that. So those are my Madeline socks by Kate Poe. They're the Sock Madness 15 round 6 socks. And I'm enjoying it. I'm using 2.25 millimeter needles, or US size, I believe that's a US size 1. I'm using, the white is just a bare yarn that I have. The blue is a yarn that I dyed myself and is yarn that was used in a couple of the earlier patterns that have come out with Sock Madness this year. So I'm still working through this design or this pattern. It's probably going to take me a little while to finish them, but I am really enjoying the knit. So as my first work in progress, that I'm continuing on from last week. My Damyaka Lopa I have not touched, and my Advent mittens I have not touched in the past. I think it's been at least 2 weeks since I've done anything on them. So hopefully I'll get some more work done on both those projects in the near future. But where I've cast on 2 new designs, or I will be casting on 2 new ones. I've cast on one. I will be casting on the second one soon. I'm going to be up to 5 whips and things start to get neglected. I'll deal with that when I get there. But my next work in progress that is a design or a pattern I just started working on. I actually just cast it on earlier this afternoon. The pattern was released several days ago. I think it was on the 15th, whatever day that was. And this is with another sock knitting competition. And I'm not sure if any of you recall from a few years back, there used to be a group that called themselves Tour de Sock. And it was loosely influenced by the Tour de France bicycle race. And it had 6 sock patterns that individuals were racing through to see who was the fastest on a bunch of teams. I kind of loosely competed with that. I mostly wasn't worried about gaining points or anything like that. I just was there for the fun of knitting the socks because they were always fun patterns. The person who organized the Tour de Sock for numerous years has retired the group and retired the Tour de Sock competition that would typically run most of July and the first part of August each year. So that has been retired and is no longer in place. But in the meantime, a few other people have decided they wanted to kind of resurrect a variation of Tour de Sock. So with the blessing of the person who had started it, there's been this kind of offshoot of Tour de Sock. And they're calling it the Super Sock World Championship, or SWC. And it's structured in a similar way. People get together into teams, and there's a warm-up round, and then on the 1st of July, the actual competition begins. And you get a certain number of points. If you're the first person on your team to finish a particular leg of the race, you get a certain number of points. The second person gets a few less points, and so on until the fastest 10 on each team, each round, get a certain number of points. And then the person with the most points at the end is the winner. And I'm not really in it for the competition. I'm in it for the camaraderie of just being on a team and just having the fun of it. So what they're doing this time around is each round they're going to have what they're calling a high octane and low octane designs. And one of them, the high octane, is going to be a more complicated pattern, and the low octane is a less complicated or less intense pattern. So individuals can do both. They can do one or the other, whatever they want. And there's points for the fastest people to finish each the high and low octane patterns. I'm hoping this is making sense the way I'm describing it. I'm hoping I've got it figured out myself. So I've joined in with a team that we're not, for the most part, we're not a highly competitive team. We're more in it just for the chit chat and just to make a few pair of socks. So some of the people on the team will be aiming to be more competitive and get points. I'm really not very fussed about that at all. Like I say, I'm just in it for the fun. And if I gain another 6 or 7 more pair of socks, that's a fun bonus. So a long way of explaining all of this, they put out a warm-up pattern, came out on the 15th. And if individuals that are playing along with this want to knit the pattern, go for it. If we don't want to, that's fine. They did not have a high octane, low octane option for the warm-up. They just had one pattern. And this pattern is, they're shorty socks and they're toe up. So I just cast them on, like the pattern came out on the 15th, but I just cast them on this afternoon. And I prefer shorty socks, as I was commenting about my my Madeline socks, that in hindsight I probably should have made them shorter. These next pair are shorty socks, so they'll fit the bill that way. So the warm-up pattern are called Sea Scallops, and it's by SLM Designs. And again, this is part of the Super Sock World Championship, and I've just got a tiny start on it. I basically just have a teeny tiny toe. Part of a teeny tiny toe. It's not even the complete toe yet. So I'm using yarn I dyed myself again. I think this year my summer sock competition with Sock Madness, and now with the Super Sock World Championship thing, I'm suspecting the theme has been dye my own yarn for all these patterns. And I've been having a blast doing that. So this is yarn that I trying to remember if it was these two that I used together on one of the earlier Sock Madness rounds. Anyway, I've used this on a couple designs, or at least one design, or one pattern that I've already knit. And since they're shorty socks, I thought I might be able to get away with using this leftover skein. It's not a complete skein. There's 49 grams here. So I might be running the risk that I might run out of yarn. What I'm going to do is I will knit the first sock completely, or maybe once I'm getting to the cuff, I will see where I'm at. And if I'm at less than half, then I know I'm okay. If I've already gone over, then I'm going to have to make these fraternal, or maybe dye another skein of orange yarn, although it'll never match. I didn't measure things. This is just, when I dye yarn for this stuff, it's just, I just dye it for fun. So we shall see. Cross your fingers that this will be enough. And basically the pattern, one thing that was kind of neat with the pattern was they had two variations on the toe. They had the typical wedge toe, or like kind of the square rounded toe. And they also had an anatomical sock or toe design. And where the increases were, there were more increases on one side. And so it was kind of designed with the alternate toe, the anatomical toe, where it fits the toe shape that, with a lot of people, where the big toe is the tallest, then they get shorter and shorter and shorter. It's that style was designed with the way the increases were done, is designed to better fit people that have that tapered toe. My toes ain't like that. I got square toes, so my feet are big and square. My toes, my second toe is just a little bit longer than my big toe. So mine kind of go, there's the big toe, then the little toe, or the next one, and then there's just like a gentle taper down to the little toe. So my toes are the rounded toe, or the wedge toe fits my foot and my toe shape much better. So I did not I just did the wedge toe, or the rounded toe. I did not do the anatomical toe because I thought it wouldn't fit my toes as well. So I thought I'm just going to go with the regular old way that I do toes. But I thought it was kind of neat that there was this variation, and I don't think I've ever noticed that in a pattern before. Maybe it exists and I've just never paid attention, and I've just done a wedge toe without thinking of other ways to do a toe. But since that toe fits me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the wedge toe, rounded toe fits me nicely. And like they're quite square, big square feet. So these socks should knit up fairly quickly. Once you get past the toe, along the instep and up the little bit of the leg and around the back, it's kind of like this lace shell pattern, which is why it's called sea scallops. It looks like little scallop designs. It's a cute design. It's really pretty. So I'm working on those, and I suspect I'll buzz through those a little bit more quickly. I'm kind of hoping I'll have them done for next week, but time will tell. Just drinking water today. It's again late afternoon. So the final thing I want to show you is a work in mind, and another pattern that I'm planning on casting on maybe tomorrow. I might leave it for a few days depending on how much concentration power I have. And that pattern is the Sock Madness Round 7 pattern that just came out. The pattern was released at 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning. So round 7 of Sock Madness will be finished once the first 3 people of all the finalists have completed their socks. I'm expecting probably by the time I get up tomorrow morning or by lunchtime tomorrow, the first person will be done. Probably. But time will tell. We shall see. So this pattern is called Walking in Circles, and it is by Annelise Mygard. Again, I had one name I was able to pronounce fairly easily this whole time through Sock Madness. By Annelise or Annalisa Mygard. And again, Walking in Circles is the name of the pattern. It is a 2-color mosaic design. And when they released the specs for the pattern, it said that you needed 2 long circular needles. And that got everyone's curiosity piqued. And as soon as I saw the pattern, I'm like, they look really pretty. And the technique has me incredibly intrigued. I've done mosaic knitting before. I enjoy mosaic knitting. I think it's really fun. I enjoy the way it looks. But in this case, this sock design is knit flat. So basically you're knitting the sock from the cuff down to the heel and then down to the toe, and then you go back and forth this way until you come all the way around. And then once you're done, you do some kind of grafting. I can't remember. I haven't read the pattern yet. I'm just going by very vague pictures and a real quick cursory look over it. You basically put the tube together and you graft it down the back of the leg, under the heel, down the bottom of the foot. And you have a sock when you're done. It looks really neat. It's a really pretty pattern. The design looks really neat. And I'm really intrigued to try knitting something like that. I've never knit a design like that. So I'm really, really intrigued to give that a try. And the only reason I have not started that one yet is because I wanted yarn that was going to have a really high contrast and something that would show off the colors in a way that would definitely look fantastic when it's done. So earlier today, I got out my dyes, got out a skein of yarn, continuing on with the theme that we were going to use my own hand-dyed yarn for almost every design throughout this year's Sock Madness. The warm-up pattern is the only one that I used a different yarn, not my own. So I cranked out the dye pot, and I love this color. I'm not sure if it's showing up. It's really a bright reddish pink. It doesn't have an orange hue to it at all. It's kind of picking up a little bit orange on this. It seems like it is on the screen, but it's a bright, fire engine red and pink combination. There's a few spots that are a little bit lighter, it's a little bit tonal. It'll tone down, the color will be a little bit more subdued once it's finished drying. It's not done drying, it's still damp, which is why it's really done up into the hank, really loosey-goosey. But the plan is to use a skein of bare yarn and this red. And that's going to look amazing. I'm so excited to start that pattern just because I love the way it's going to, I love the way I think it's going to look. So this has to finish drying. That's the only reason why I haven't cast it on yet, because I didn't have a semi-solid in a bright enough or contrasty enough color to be ready to cast it on earlier this morning. So I cast on the sea scallops instead, and I will get to casting on the walking in circles maybe tomorrow afternoon once we're home from church and home from lunch after church. I might leave it until Monday. But then once I come to Monday, this week coming up, I have 2 conferences, virtual conferences running, well, 2 of them that are running simultaneously. One of the virtual conferences that I've been attending will be going into its 3rd week. And a second conference is running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's going to run from 11 in the morning till 6 in the evening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with a couple little 15, 20-minute breaks here and there. So I'm going to have lots of knitting time Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I should be able to make good progress on the sea scallops and on Madeline. And I'm also thinking that my concentration, I'm not sure if I'll start walking in circles right away, because the pattern looks like it might be a little bit tricky to get going. And it looks like I'm going to have to really pay attention and focus on what I'm doing when I'm starting it. Although it could start Monday morning before the conference starts at 11. Stay tuned and we'll find out what I do. But worst case scenario, you'll see some progress next week on Madeline and sea scallops, and hopefully I've had a chance to cast on the next pattern, the final one. And I really do want to cast on and finish walking in circles, because this will be the first year that I have knit all of the Sock Madness competition socks, from the qualifying round through round 1 all the way through round 7. I've never yet knit all of them. A couple years I think I've knit 4 or 5 pair, but I've never knit all 8, because there are 8 patterns from the qualifying round through to round 7. And I still have the bonus round patterns. One of them in particular, I love the look of the pattern. So I think it was the round 6 bonus pattern. I can't remember the name of it off the top, but it was a pretty design. And I think I will make that one a little bit later. And I might make the other 2 bonus or warm-up patterns later. But for this year for Sock Madness, I made one of the 3 bonus patterns, not bonus, one of the 3 warm-up patterns. And I also did qualifying, and I will finish through until the end of the round 7 socks. So that will be that's my goal to do this year, is to knit all of the competition socks for Sock Madness 15. So that's my goal. Keep keep tuned in to see when I get this all done. In other news, so the conference stuff this week coming up will give me lots of knitting time. I do have to do some other work-related things along the line with that. So that'll cut into some of my crafting time. But I'm thinking I should be able to get a fair bit done this week coming up. We went to the farmer's market this morning. Got another little bouquet of flowers. This guy was still looking really good from last week's bouquet, so I salvaged that. The rest of it was looking pretty sad. There's a couple sweet peas in here, and whatever these little cutie pies are called. So, got that. I love sweet peas. So, another pretty little bouquet. But although the price has gone up, I'm not sure if we'll be buying them again next week. We'll see what they say about the pricing on it. But the price has gone up on them. It used to be $2 for just the teeny little mini bouquet. Last week they wanted $5 for it. And today when I went to buy them, the little vase and the flowers was listed as $6, but I only wanted the flowers, and they said it'll be $6. And I actually only had a $5 bill, was all I had for cash left on me. I didn't take my I didn't take my purse with me. I just had a little mitt full of money in my pocket, and all I had was the $5. So they sold it to me for $5. We're going to ask next week what the price is, and just out of curiosity why it's increased that much. I'm not paying $6 for the bouquet. I can get a full size, I can get like a full regular size bouquet of flowers for $5 or $6. Not just a little teeny miniature one. So we'll see what they say next week. Come back next week and see if I have a little bouquet of flowers there or not. I might not. We shall see. What else? That's about all. I was busy with conference stuff this past week. I had, what else did we do this past week? Not an awful lot. There's some errands to run, did a few other little things like that, but nothing that major. It was a pretty quiet week. Just tied up with conference stuff, other work stuff, and knitting stuff. So, I think that's about all. Yeah, so stay tuned next week and see if I have a little bouquet of flowers or not. And see what kind of progress I made on the 2 pair of socks, and see if I have a 3rd pair of socks cast on as well. I am very intrigued to cast on walking in circles, because just the pattern looks very intriguing. It's a very unusual construction, and a construction that I don't think I've ever done before. So I am very curious to give that a try. So on that note, I should get going, get the editing moving along on this, and get this up and posted for you guys. Alrighty, take care everyone. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you in a week. Bye.